you so much for tuning into your Friday edition of Wasatch Weekends. We love getting to be here every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and now Monday to bring you so much wonderful information about things taking place in and around our community. I'm your host, Maddie Evans, and we've got a great show in store for you. Not only are we going to be talking about a wonderful event taking place tomorrow, Running with Ed, but we're also going to be talking about the importance of mental health. And right now, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so it's really important that you take that time, you focus in a little bit on yourself, and you give yourself that room to expand, maybe fixing your mental health. And so we're going to give you some more details on that here in just a moment. Now, I don't know about you, but I love summer here in Park City, and we are so close to the official kickoff of summer with the first Park City Market, which is taking place June 4th. So mark your calendars to get out there and enjoy all of the fun. And now we're going to take a look at that local weather forecast right now.
This weather report is brought to you by Sun and Ski Sports, your new mountain sports headquarters.
Something we always look forward to here in our community is Running with Ed, because it supports our wonderful Education Foundation of Park City. And so we've got Jennifer Billow joining me to give us some more information of what we can expect day of the race. Jennifer, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me.
Thanks for having me.
I mean, we've been talking about this for quite some time. The excitement level is high only because this is an event that comes back each and every year. Now, this has been a very interesting year for all of you that are really helping bring the event to life and planning it, especially since we've had so much snow. Give us more information.
Yes, oh my gosh, it has been an interesting year. So, and first of all, it is coming up this Saturday, May 20th, Running with Ed. It is a fundraiser for the Park City Education Foundation, and it is an 8-leg relay race around Park City. We hit all the schools in the UOP. It's our 14th year. It's been voted Park City's favorite fundraiser for 9 years in a row, which we are always excited about. And it's a great time. It's a great day. And the excitement is finally rising because we have had the winter that's lasted 11 million years.
Yes.
And I think people were like, are we going to have Running with Ed? But of course, we always have Running with Ed. You alluded to, we have had to pivot a lot due to the unprecedented snow. I feel like I haven't used those two words, pivot and unprecedented, since we were in the middle of COVID. But there was so much snow, we actually have changed 3 of the legs on the race, 3 of the 8, so that people wouldn't be running through water features or snow slides. Most of the race is on pavement rather than trail this year. Our local trail entity, Basin Recreation, has not opened most of the trails yet because there's still snow on a lot of them, or they're so wet and muddy they would get ruined. And so we've changed a couple legs, and then our iconic leg, which is running up the stairs at the UOP, the Utah Olympic Park. We will still be running up to the Utah Olympic Park, and the exchange will still be there, and then running up from there. But we will not be running up the stairs because they had an inbounds avalanche that took out some of the stairs. So we have just been sort of battling the elements like everybody else. But Running with Ed will go on. We've got over 1,000 runners all ready to go, and we're finally having beautiful weather. And race day is supposed to be gorgeous. Perfect running weather, sunny, 68. Running with Ed is a little bit infamous for it's always either raining or snowing on Running with Ed day. But this year it's the opposite. It's been raining and snowing all the way up until today. And then on Saturday it's going to be gorgeous.
which is the best part, and we're really excited to see everyone come together. Now, let's talk a little bit about what the Education Foundation does here in our community. So people who may want to participate or may want to get involved in the next year with Running with Ed, they have a little bit more of an idea of how lucky we are to have the Education Foundation.
Sure, thanks for asking the question. So the Park City Education Foundation, we fund educator-powered initiatives that inspire all Park City students to reach their academic and lifelong potential. We've been doing this for nearly 40 years, since 1986, so we have been around a long time. And what that means basically is teachers, administration, the school district typically comes to us with their ideas on how to make it a more engaging classroom or an engaging subject matter. And then we try to fund those ideas. And we fund nearly $2 million in educator ideas. They include everything from preschool, so we cover the cost of preschool tuition on a sliding scale. I know all of our communities, especially in mountain towns, are dealing with the child care deserts that we have. And so preschool for 3 and 4-year-olds is a big solution to that. We fund elementary art programs. There's no elementary art in Utah. The after-school program, K through 9th grade, again, tuition on a sliding scale. We fund real-world learning initiatives. So, for instance, we have coding, grade K through 12 in our school district. We have a construction lab at our junior high. We have an aviation drone lab at our high school. So this kind of real-world learning, implementing STEAM principles, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. We have the Innovation Lab where we listen to teachers about their ideas for the future and see what can be funded. We have our Bright Futures program, which is our first generation college student mentoring program. And then Classroom and Express grants, which is our biggest funding bucket, if you will. We fund about $450,000, and those are direct asks from the teachers and admin for their schools. And so all the funding that Running with Ed raises, and our goal is to raise $350,000, all of that goes towards our Classroom grant program. And those are asked for by teachers and admin. They're due April 1st, and right now our Classroom Grants Committee is deliberating on all those, and the awards will be announced at the end of May. And so Running with That is just in this perfect time frame, so people are running and they're knowing that all of the fundraising they're doing or their registration fee is all going towards programs that are impacting their students.
Which is something that's so incredible, and we're so lucky because it allows the teachers to have their voices heard. It allows the students to kind of find the thing that they love the most, which isn't something that you often get to experience as you're in school from kindergarten all the way through high school. And so that's one of the things that we love so much about what you guys do in our community, only because it's so important. And then of course, you also let businesses sponsor events like Running with Ed. And so you don't have to be an individual to sponsor. You can be a business as well.
Yes, absolutely. And sponsorships they're the base of the pyramid, right? So sponsorships are what we build the race on. Sponsorships help cover the cost of our race. We have amazing sponsors. Park City Mountain Resort and Vail Resorts Epic Promise is our presenting sponsor, as well as Event Network. And then we have about 30 additional sponsors at different levels. Oops, sorry about the bell going off there.
No, you're totally fine.
What the sponsors do is ensure that the costs of the race are covered. And of course, they get lots of great benefits and recognition as well, because this is, again, it's voted Park City's favorite fundraising event. Our whole community gets involved, not just parents and students and teachers, but all the community either runs or volunteers or fundraises. But the sponsorships are key to building that base. We can't do it without them. And then, there's this, after the race, there's a giant finish party at the Basin Recreation Field House. That's so much fun. And all the sponsors have their booths at the Sponsor Expo where they're doing giveaways or trainings. I think Woodward Park City is going to do a coaching activation. And so it's just a super fun party to go to at the end. Even if you don't run, you can come to the finish party, $10 a person or $25 a family. And the sponsorships are critical to the cost, because costs, like everything else since COVID, have gone up. It is extremely difficult to ask businesses to donate lunch for 1,000 people, for instance. You just really can't do that anymore. So the costs have gone up considerably, and the sponsors ensure that we can cover those costs, as well as give us budget relief and other items. So the UPS stores, Park City and Proforma, they provide, the posters and the banners. PCTV was a longtime sponsor and is so great about getting the word out, through their commercial spots and things like this, which we really appreciate. So it really is just the whole town coming around to support.
Which is something that we love to see, and we love to hear our community rallying around anything, and especially the fabulous Education Foundation. Now, if people are running and they need to be prepared for anything, maybe this is their first year doing it, do you have any tips for them?
For sure, definitely. We're in the mountains, so even though it looks like it's a sunny day, you could get a rain shower. The race does not get canceled for anything except lightning. So I always suggest, bring a change of clothes. There are, no leg is longer than 5 miles, but if you feel like you'll need water in between, be sure you wear a camelback or carry a water bottle. There will be water bottles in your swag bag. And just really pay attention to all the emails coming out, because they have your start time and, especially updates if we need to change something on one of the legs again. Hopefully not. But you never know about last minute changes with the weather. So those are things I would recommend. And it's actually not too late to register. We will take registrations up through Thursday night, and it is a ball. Like, you will not have a better time. If you can't run, we are still looking for volunteers. So you can go to runningwithed.com and click on the volunteer tab. No shift is longer than 2.5 hours, and you get into the finish party for free, where there's food and beer and lots of good times. And of course, you can donate, and you don't have to know anyone to donate. Definitely everybody's, fundraising, but you can just click on the big donate button and make a donation on the runningwithed.com page. And all of that goes to our goal of raising $350,000.
Jennifer, thank you so much for all the hard work you do for our community and for the Education Foundation. We really do appreciate it, and you can notice it in our school systems. And thank you for taking the time to chat with me this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
Make sure that you check out Running with Ed or just the Education Foundation of Park City, because they do such a good job to ensure that our kids' lives are just elevated that much more as they're going through the schooling process. And they help a lot of teachers make sure that they can enjoy their jobs as well. And Running with Ed is a great fundraiser. So even if you're not going to run, go to the after party, because it's going to be a ton of fun. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we've got more of the show, so stay tuned. Welcome back to your Friday edition of Wasatch Weekends. I'm your host, Maddie Evans, and like I said earlier, we love getting to be here each and every weekend, but it's really important that we talk about mental health throughout the month of May, as May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so we're going to introduce you to a wonderful person from MTV who's going to talk with us about the social impact of mental health. So let's take a look. Welcome back to the show. We spend a lot of time talking about mental health and why it's important. Well, mental health is super important, and especially during the month of May, as it is Mental Health Awareness Month. Now, there is a Mental Health Action Day, and we've got Jay joining us to chat about why this is so important. Thank you for taking the time to chat with us this morning, Jay.
Maddie, thank you so much for having me.
Now, you have a really cool job working with MTV, where you kind of follow the trends of some impact that can happen from the social aspect. So let's talk a little bit about why this Mental Health Action Day is so important.
Thank you so much. I'm very lucky to stand on the shoulders of those who came before me that have really laid the groundwork to focus on mental health. And Mental Health Action Day exists to push our culture from awareness to action on mental health.
Now, what's the difference between the awareness and the action that people should start to look out for?
Yeah, so it's awareness to action is really about removing the stigma and normalizing conversations about mental health. We all have mental health, and each of us can do a variety of different things to care for our mental health. It doesn't have to be super complicated. It can just be simple things like going for a walk or reaching out to a friend. Those little things can sometimes make a very big difference.
Now, MTV is doing such a great job of breaking the stigma, and they're also doing some great work with partnering with nonprofits to break that stigma and make it more accessible to people to have that mental health resource. And so let's talk about what MTV is doing.
Yes, I'm so excited to say that we have granted 22 organizations, our nonprofit partners this year, in addition to the over 2,000 partners that the network has grown towards. And we really want to encourage and empower people from around the world to take 1 hour for themselves, their loved ones, or their community on Mental Health Action Day, May 18th.
Which I think it's so important that people take that hour regularly. It's not something they just do this week or this day. They make sure that they're spending enough time to really focus on themselves, because it is important. And especially when you live in towns where there's always a lot of stuff happening, you can get caught up in the stuff and forget about yourself. And so we talked about it, getting out, taking a walk, calling a friend, and then doing some of those other self-care routines. And of course, sometimes it's really important that you just sit down and you enjoy a good TV show with yourself to focus a little bit on your mental health.
Absolutely. It doesn't have to be huge, as we were talking about. There's a great study that has recently come out of the University of Pittsburgh that tracks, the small actions in sending a text message to a friend, and they tracked and found out that those little text messages and small gestures end up making so much more of a difference than we could have imagined. So, would really encourage everybody to go to mentalhealthishealth.us and look for an action that works for you. Every day should be Mental Health Action Day, but on May 18th we get to celebrate it and try to push culture from awareness to action.
Now, as someone who follows these trends as one of the social impact directors of MTV, what have you been noticing besides just maybe that text message to remind the people in your life that you love them?
Well, I think it's Dr. Vivek Murthy recently released a study really chronicling how much loneliness has become an epidemic amongst young people. And so we're really trying to encourage people to lean on their support networks. It's all about trying to remove the stigma of mental health and normalize conversations around it, because we all have mental health.
Now, if you were to give someone a tip or trick right now, besides reaching out and surrounding themselves with those people that they love, what would you say to people who are maybe struggling a little bit with their mental health right now?
I think it's important just to take the first step. Oftentimes it could be a variety of different activities, but whatever you enjoy that brings you into the present moment, so you're not ruminating on the past or having anxiety about the future, whatever activity can bring you into this present moment can be a great place to start.
And what was that website that you were giving us earlier for people to check out, and that way they can have those great resources with themselves?
Thank you so much. I'd encourage anybody to go to mentalhealthishealth.us to look for an action that works for them.
Jay, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to break the stigma, only because this is a stigma that is nationwide. And so if we all talk about it, we all just become a little bit more vulnerable and we take those steps forward to break the stigma, then I feel like our mental health will increase across the board.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us, and thanks for all the hard work you do to help break the stigma. Make sure that you go online and you check out that fabulous website. That way you can get more information on how you can help yourself with your mental health. And the more we break the stigma, the more we're open and the more we talk about it, the better our mental health will be as a nation. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we've got more of the show, so stay tuned.
This weather report is brought to you by Sun and Ski Sports, your new mountain sports headquarters.
want to thank you so much for tuning into your Friday edition of Wasatch Weekends. We love getting to be here each and every weekend morning to bring you some great information about what's going on in and around our community. Now make sure that you check out Running with Ed. Even if you don't want to run in the race, you can still participate in the fun afterwards up at the beautiful Olympic Park. And it's just a great way to support the Education Foundation of Park City as they do some incredible things for our local kids. Make sure that you tune in tomorrow for your Saturday edition of Wasatch Weekends. I've been your host, Maddie Evans, and I'll see you then.